From the surveillance of the apartment, you can hear my child screaming every time she got shot, but not once did you hear Mr. Warren say, "What the hell is going on? Baby this," and you heard nothing.
March 4th, 2023 was supposed to be the happiest day of India Kinnamore's life. The 26-year-old mother was scheduled to be induced that morning, ready to welcome her second son into the world. Instead, she was found shot to death in her bedroom around 4:30 in the morning, her unborn baby killed alongside her. Her 6-year-old son discovered his mother's body and made a frantic call that would haunt everyone who heard it. But here's where this tragedy transforms into something far more sinister. The father of India's unborn child had requested bereavement leave from his employer before she was murdered. He asked for time off to mourn someone who was still alive. What you're about to hear is a story of calculated betrayal that took 2.5 years to unravel.
It's at the Hidden Meadows apartment complex where officers say they found the body of India Kinnamore on Saturday morning around 5 a.m. Kinnamore was 26 years old, and police say she was in the late stages of her pregnancy.
India Nicole Kinnamore was born on May 12, 1996, in Cincinnati, Ohio. She grew up in the Coleraine Township area, attended Coleraine High School where she graduated, and later enrolled at Bowling Green State University to pursue her education. Friends remembered her as a beautiful lady in and out, someone with a pure soul who made sure it's always a good time no matter what. She was the type of person who would be the first to hug a friend who was grieving, offering comfort without hesitation. India was devoted to her family above everything else, particularly focused on raising her young son and preparing for the arrival of her second child. India had been in a relationship with Kayvon Warren for a couple of years. Together, they shared a 6-year-old son and lived in a home on Hidden Meadows Drive in Coleraine Township, Ohio. Warren was approximately 30 years old, working full-time and presenting himself as a committed partner. But beneath that surface, tensions were building in ways that would prove fatal. When India became pregnant with their second child, she was overjoyed. Her mother, Terry Kinnamore, would later describe how excited India was about expanding their family, how she was counting down the days until she could hold her new son in her arms.
Hey guys, let's do a pregnancy bump update. So I am now, get this baby out of me, weeks along. The baby is the size of a whale and what sounds like at least 5 painful stitches. My main symptom is bitch.
But prosecutors alleged that Warren didn't share that excitement. According to court documents, Warren did not want the baby and repeatedly pressured India to terminate the pregnancy. India refused. She was too far along in her pregnancy, and more importantly, she wanted this child desperately. Warren's life at that time was unraveling in multiple ways. He was facing severe financial hardship, including the imminent loss of his home. Beyond the financial stress, Warren was allegedly involved with another woman, attempting to rekindle a relationship with an ex-girlfriend while India carried his child.
When you have a spoiled daughter,
speak up when I hop about to cut, I promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut, I promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut, I promise I'm gonna make a scene, got like.
These competing pressures, the unwanted pregnancy, the financial collapse, the other woman, created what prosecutors describe as a perfect storm of desperation. And in that desperation, Warren allegedly decided that the only solution was to eliminate the problem entirely. But he wouldn't do it himself. Instead, prosecutors say he enlisted help from family members to carry out a murder that would be disguised as a random home invasion. The alleged conspiracy involved Warren's cousin, Robert Irvin, who was 20 years old, and Irvin's half-brother, Lamar Morris Suggs, who was 22. According to investigators, the 3 men communicated via a group chat in the hours leading up to the murder, coordinating their plan with chilling precision. Warren requested bereavement leave from his employer before India's death, a detail that prosecutors point to as clear evidence of premeditation. He was preparing to mourn someone who was still alive, anticipating the exact moment when he would need time off work to maintain the appearance of a grieving partner. In the early morning hours of March 4, 2023, India Kinnamore was asleep in her bed when intruders entered the home. According to prosecutors, Suggs and Irvin had been waiting in an adjacent neighborhood until Warren returned home and gave them the signal. Warren allegedly went into the bedroom and lay down next to India, then facilitated the entry of his accomplices. Around 4:30 a.m., Suggs allegedly fired multiple shots into India's chest while she slept. The attack was swift and brutal. India's 6-year-old son was in the home during the shooting, hiding under the covers as the violence erupted around him. After the shooters fled, the terrified child found his mother's body and called his grandmother, Terry Kinnamore. During that call, Warren could be heard in the background, instructing the child on what to say. "Just tell your Nana to get here." A 911 call was placed at 4:33 a.m., reporting the break-in and shooting. When police arrived at the Hidden Meadows Apartments complex, they found India and her unborn son both dead at the scene. The home had been ransacked, items scattered everywhere to create the appearance of a burglary gone wrong. It looked like a random home invasion, a tragic case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But investigators immediately noticed inconsistencies. The attack had been focused solely on India. There was no substantial theft of valuables despite the ransacked appearance. The staging was contrived, designed to mislead but not sophisticated enough to fool experienced detectives. From the very beginning, Coleraine Township Police suspected this was something more than a random crime.
Police have identified a pregnant woman in Coleraine Township early this morning. Her name is India Kinnamore. Police say the 26-year-old was shot just before 5 this morning on Hidden Meadows Drive off Hamilton Avenue. They say Kinnamore was in the late stages of her pregnancy. The baby also died. Police have not said anything about a suspect or any arrests in the case.
Remember that bereavement leave Warren requested before India was murdered? That detail became central to the prosecution's case because it demonstrated that Warren knew exactly when India would die. But his preparation didn't stop with the leave request. After India's murder, Warren took to social media to portray himself as a devastated partner. 15 days after the murder, on March 19, 2023, Warren posted on Facebook, "Baby, I'm hurting bad off this one. I love y'all." In another post, likely around Valentine's Day 2025, he referred to India as "my Valentine forever." These public displays of grief were, according to prosecutors, nothing more than a performance designed to deflect suspicion, while Warren had allegedly orchestrated the very crime he was pretending to mourn. But what Warren couldn't anticipate was the meticulous investigation that would slowly unravel every thread of his alleged conspiracy. Over the next 2.5 years, detectives from Coleraine Township Police and Hamilton County worked tirelessly to build their case. They collected cell phone records that showed communication between Warren, Irvin, and Suggs in the hours before the murder. They tracked location data that placed the suspects near the scene. They reviewed video footage from the area and conducted dozens of witness interviews. And critically, they uncovered group chat discussions where the three men planned the staged burglary the night before India's death. While Kayvon Warren was posting messages of grief on social media and maintaining his public facade as a mourning partner, India Kinnamore's mother, Terry, was living through a nightmare that wouldn't end. For over 2 years, she visited her daughter's grave at Spring Grove Cemetery, sitting beside the headstone that marked where India and her unborn grandson were buried together. Terry told reporters that in the beginning, it was almost impossible to visit the cemetery because the pain was too overwhelming. But she never stopped believing that justice would eventually come. Terry's faith would be tested repeatedly as months turned into years with no answers, no explanations, and growing public speculation that the case might never be solved.
Suspected mother in Coleraine Township on Saturday, and now detectives are working to find her killer.
Ken Brown has been following this case all weekend. He joins us live from Coleraine Township.
Yeah, that's right, guys. And we spoke with a representative from the Coleraine Township Police Department behind me here who says there's not much that they can say publicly about the case at this point, but he does tell me that investigators in their process, they're moving forward. They're headed in the right direction with this as they continue to follow up on leads. And while that happens, we're hearing from a woman who says she's been a longtime friend of India Kinnamore, and she's struggling with the news of her. It's at the Hidden Meadows apartment complex where officers say they found the body of India Kinnamore on Saturday morning around 5 a.m. Kinnamore was 26 years old, and police say she was in the late stages of her pregnancy. Her social media posts indicate she may have had just a few weeks left before giving birth, and neither India nor her soon-to-be child survived the shooting. As detectives continue their investigation, we reached out to family and friends to share more about the soon-to-be mother, and a person, only wishing to be identified as a longtime friend, said, quote, "India is a beautiful lady in and out. To know India is to love her. Her soul is so pure. Any time you're with her, it's always a good time no matter what. When I lost my cousin, she was the first person to hug me and comfort me. I'm so sad about what happened to her. She didn't deserve this at all. She didn't bother nobody." End quote. Police have yet to arrest India's but insist that their investigation is moving in the right direction and tips are still coming in. As that's happening, friends continue to share in the memories of the late mother. Her longtime friend sharing this, quote, "She was all about her family and best friends and especially taking care of her boy. I pray that her family can find healing and peace. I know it's going to be hard, but they definitely have some angels protecting them now." End quote. And as we mentioned, this investigation is moving forward, but the Coleraine Township Police Department still says anyone with information should give them a call, let them know what they know, and may even help, them get answers in this case sooner. Reporting live in Coleraine Township, Ken Brown, Fox 19 Now.
Ken, thank you.
During those 2.5 years of investigation, Warren continued living his life in Cincinnati. His defense attorney would later argue that Warren maintained steady employment, never fled the city, and cooperated with investigators despite knowing he was under investigation. Then, in August 2025, everything changed. A Hamilton County grand jury issued indictments against Kayvon Warren, Robert Irvin, and Lamar Morris Suggs on 13 counts, including 4 counts of aggravated murder each, 2 for India and 2 for her unborn child, under Ohio's fetal homicide laws. The charges also included murder, felonious assault, burglary, and for Warren and Suggs specifically, weapons under disability charges due to prior convictions that prohibited them from possessing firearms. If convicted, each man faced life in prison without the possibility of parole. Hamilton County Prosecutor Connie Pillage held a press conference where she emphasized the heartbreaking nature of the crime. "This should have been one of the happiest days of India's life," Pillage stated. "Instead, the father of the child conspired with 2 others to kill her. It is heartbreaking." The prosecutor's office released a statement explaining how the investigation had uncovered evidence showing Warren did not want the baby and had pressured India for an abortion, which she refused because she was too far along in her pregnancy. Court documents filed in October 2025, specifically the Bill of Particulars, spelled it out clearly. India, quote, "was pregnant with Warren's baby, a baby he did not want, and was asleep when associates of co-defendant Warren's drove to their home and came in and shot and killed Miss Kinnamore and their unborn child." When Warren and Irvin appeared in court for their bond hearings in September 2025, Terry Kinnamore was there. She sat in the courtroom and listened as prosecutors laid out the evidence against the men accused of killing her daughter. Then she stood up to address the judge directly. Her voice was steady, despite the emotion behind every word. Terry told the court about the phone call she received from her 6-year-old grandson that morning, how he told her someone had shot her mommy and that someone was in their house. She described how Warren had been in the background of that call, telling the terrified child what to say to his grandmother. Terry concluded her statement by telling the judge that she didn't think Warren, quote, should see the light of day until this case is solved, unquote. The defense attorneys painted a very different picture. Warren's lawyer, Clyde Bennett, argued that Warren, quote, wanted the child and had no criminal history to speak of. Irvin's defense attorney took a similar approach, arguing that, quote, his client has no proof of criminal involvement, unquote. But prosecutors weren't buying it. They presented evidence showing that Irvin's car was parked near the murder scene and that he was communicating with his co-defendants in the hours leading up to the attack. The judge set bonds at $600,000 for both Warren and Irvin, but the prosecution argued that even that amount wasn't sufficient given the severity of the crimes and the danger the defendants posed. The third defendant, Lamar Morris Suggs, didn't appear in court that day. Suggs was already serving a 3-year sentence at Lebanon Correctional Institution for a 2024 weapons conviction, meaning he would remain incarcerated regardless of the bond amount.
He his own son or plotted to kill his own son. He's been out for 2 years while this investigation is going on, while my daughter and his grandson are resting in a grave. I don't think he should see the light of day until this case is solved.
An unexpected discovery in the 2023 case of a Coleraine woman and her unborn child. Police have charged 3 people with murder, one of whom was the father of that unborn child. They were in court today, and so was our Brenda Ordonez, who joins us live.
Rob, yeah, bond hearings, they usually happen pretty quickly. This one took a bit longer. Prosecutors talked case details. They even allowed the victim's mother, who we just heard, recount how it is that she found out her daughter and unborn grandson had been.
Her child was 6 years old when this happened, and he was in the house. I got the phone call from my grandson to say, my mommy has been shot. Somebody is in our house. And my mommy is screaming.
March 4th, 2023, a day Terry Kinnamore will never forget. Her 26-year-old pregnant daughter, India, killed in her home. Terry says India's partner and the father of her unborn child, Kayvon Warren, were together when it happened.
From the surveillance of the apartment, you can hear my child screaming every time she got shot. But not once did you hear Mr. Warren say, what the hell is going on? Baby this, and you heard nothing.
Prosecutors say a complex investigation yielded cell phone records and location evidence pointing to Warren, Robert Irvin, and the alleged gunman Lamar Morris Suggs orchestrating the murder.
At some point, the evidence that has been uncovered was that he wanted her to terminate that pregnancy. Ms. Kinnamore was scheduled to be induced the same morning as the murder.
It's very unfortunate that this woman was and she was pregnant with his child, a child that he wanted.
Warren's defense attorney Clyde Bennett asked for a reasonable bond, saying Warren has a full-time job, no criminal history, and has not fled the city despite knowing he was under investigation for the last 2 years.
Someone willing to engage in this level of violence against people that they really care about, love, and with this level of cruelty makes us believe that if he is out, the rest of us wouldn't stand a chance.
Warren was issued a $600,000 bond for the 2 charges he's facing, similar to his co-defendant Robert Irvin. Here's his defense attorney.
The only tie that he has with this case is from some messages that apparently have the 2 co-defendants in and allegedly have Mr. Irvin in. So he finds himself in a guilty by association situation here.
Prosecutors say evidence shows Irvin parked near the murder and was communicating with his co-defendants in the hours leading up to it.
Conspiring to come up with this plan to kill Ms. Kinnamore and her unborn child.
Yeah, now the alleged gunman, he was not in court today. He's currently being locked up at the Ohio Department of Corrections on an unrelated felony charge. We're, of course, going to continue following all 3 of these cases as they make their way through the court system. For now, outside of the Justice Center, Brenda Ordonez, Fox 19 Now.
In December 2025, there was another significant development. Warren appeared before Judge Jennifer Branch for a hearing where prosecutors successfully argued for his bond to be revoked entirely. The motion for no bond was granted after emotional testimony from India's family, including her grandmother, who recounted the trauma of receiving that phone call from her great-grandson, with Warren directing him in the background. From that point forward, Warren would remain in custody at the Hamilton County Justice Center without any possibility of release pending trial. His trial was tentatively scheduled for May 2026, with Irvin and Suggs facing their own separate proceedings.
At 5:30, the mother of a woman in Coleraine Township is speaking out for the first time.
So India Kinnamore and her unborn child were killed in a shooting in 2023. And last week, Coleraine Township Police announced 3 people were charged in her.
Brittany Harry has a story you will only see right here on Fox 19 Now.
Well, India Kinnamore's mother spoke to us from here at Spring Grove Cemetery, where her daughter and unborn grandchild are both buried. Terry Kinnamore says she always knew justice would come, but wasn't sure how long it would take.
I never gave up. There was a lot of people that just thought that this case would never be solved. And I have faith in God. I know that God can do anything.
A grieving mother sits next to her daughter and unborn grandson's grave. In the beginning, Terry Kinnamore says it was hard for her to visit. Now she says it feels a little bit lighter.
Now, I'm able to come back and tell her that the people that did this to her, they have been caught and justice will be served.
Coleraine Township Police announced last week 3 people have been charged with the murder of India Kinnamore and her unborn child, Robert Irvin, Lamar Morris Suggs, and Kayvon Warren.
I just don't know why someone would want to do something like that. Not to just one person, but 2 people.
Terry says Warren is the child's father. He and India had been in a relationship for a couple of years. The other 2 suspects, Terry says she had never met.
I thought that Kayvon was a nice, upstanding gentleman. And he turned out to be a complete opposite, a monster. Because only a monster would do something like this.
The shooting happened at an apartment complex on Hidden Meadows Drive, according to Coleraine Police, but a motive is still unknown. Kinnamore, Terry says, was due to deliver baby Kyron within hours of being killed.
She couldn't wait to have him and to meet him and hold him, and she never got that chance. And he never got that chance to feel his mother's arms around him and to hear, "I love you."
Terry says Warren's lack of concern about the status of the investigation was always a red flag.
And to come and find out that you had something to do with it, that's a slap in the face. That's a slap in the face. You never really cared. You couldn't have cared.
Well, Terry says that her daughter was always willing to help someone. She described her as fun-spirited and funny, and she says that she misses her every single day. Meanwhile, both Irvin and Warren, they appeared in court on Friday. Their bonds set at $600,000. Suggs is in the Ohio Department of Corrections on separate charges. Reporting in Spring Grove Village, Brittany Harry, Fox 19 Now.
Brittany, thank you.
The India Kinnamore case is horrifying in its specifics, but it's not unique in its structure. History has shown us that when men feel trapped by unwanted pregnancies, some resort to violence as their perceived solution. And the parallels to past cases help us understand the patterns that investigators look for when building these conspiracy cases. Perhaps the most famous similar case is that of former NFL player Ray Caruth, who orchestrated the murder of his pregnant girlfriend Sherika Adams in 1999. Caruth, like Warren, was facing child support obligations from a previous relationship and didn't want the financial burden of another child. When Adams refused to terminate her pregnancy, Caruth hired a hitman named Van Brett Watkins to carry out a drive-by shooting. The attack was staged to look like a random act of violence, just as India's murder was staged to look like a burglary. Adams was shot 4 times and died a month later, though her son was delivered via emergency C-section and survived with severe disabilities, including cerebral palsy. Carruth initially fled after posting bail, hiding in the trunk of a car before being captured. He denied orchestrating the crime, claiming it was related to a drug deal gone wrong. But eventually, Carruth was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder and served nearly 19 years in prison before being released in 2018. The similarities between the Carruth case and the Kinnamore case are striking. Unwanted pregnancies, financial pressures, hiring accomplices to carry out the killing, staging the crime scene to appear random, and initially denying involvement. The primary difference is that Carruth's crime predated widespread social media, so there was no equivalent to Warren's public Facebook posts mourning the woman he allegedly had killed. But the underlying psychology and pattern of behavior are remarkably consistent. These cases demonstrate that when certain men feel faced with what they perceive as an impossible situation, a pregnancy they don't want, financial obligations they can't meet, competing romantic relationships, they choose murder as their way out. India's legacy extends beyond the tragedy of her death. After she was killed, a memorial scholarship was established in her name through bold.org to support women facing financial barriers to higher education. The scholarship reflects India's own pursuit of learning when she attended Bowling Green State University, and it ensures that her memory contributes to empowering other women to achieve their educational goals. It's a small but meaningful way that India's life continues to impact others positively, even in the wake of such senseless violence. What do you think about this case? Do you think India probably saw the signs of Kayvon's murderous intent? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Click on one of the cards to see more videos like this one. See you in the next one.